Powered by Riverside FM.
Aaron Jones has been re-signed by the Minnesota Vikings. And I honestly can't say that I am surprised that this happened, but I do have to say that I'm a little bit surprised at the numbers and what he signed for. People were talking about last year he signed for $7 million base, and people were looking at he's going to have to take a little bit less. You know, he may have to take half. The Vikings are looking to move on. He's always broke up, blah, 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 blah. You hear it all the time about Aaron Jones. And then looking at the numbers today, I was really surprised. UP Nation, are you surprised at the numbers? Jones will receive an $8 million signing bonus as a part of his new deal, as well as fully guaranteed $1.5 million base salary for the 2025 season. He can make up to $350,000 for the season per game, roster bonuses, and has a $150,000 roster bonus. With those figures, combined with the $800,000 of dead money from Jones' old deal, the contract will have a salary cap figure of about $4.8 million for the 2025 season. And again, I always say you can find a way to sign people and finagle the numbers the way you want to finagle them. And I think this is a great move by the capologist for the Minnesota Vikings and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensa, being able to bring Aaron Jones back. But I think the one thing that this does is it speaks volumes on what the Minnesota Vikings think about Aaron Jones. You can say what you want about Aaron Jones, but he had a career year in carries. He had a career year in yards. He had a career year in yards off the line of scrimmage. I mean, so all of the good years that he had with the Packers, although a lot of them were injured, but you saw the significance of his game with the Packers, or else you wouldn't bring him in. He killed those numbers with the Minnesota Vikings and played 17 games this season, regular season, and then the playoffs. So 18 total games without missing the games. Yeah, was he dinged? Of course he was. Yeah, was he hurt at times? Yeah, of course he was. But he suited up every game, and he played, and that was something, especially Green Bay Packer fans, when we signed him, they hated to see him go. They would always hit you with, well, good luck with that. He's going to miss half your games. Well, Aaron Jones did not miss any games for the Minnesota Vikings this season. Now, what this does is it says a lot about what KOC and the fellas think about Aaron Jones and his capability. Now, this doesn't mean that Aaron Jones is going to be the bell cow next year. I still think that the Minnesota Vikings are going to look in the draft, try to bring in a running back in this running back rich draft, if not add someone from free agency. I think the Najee Harris thing is out now. If you bring in an Aaron Jones, I don't think they're going to sign a Najee Harris from the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I think they may bring in a young gun in this deep draft of running backs. And I think they are going to split time. They are definitely going to split time with whoever this new running back is. Because I think if you can keep Aaron Jones healthy, he's going to be most effective for you. I also think, and I've asked this question in previous podcasts, like there were times during the season where our running game wasn't necessarily really effective. And we talked about that, you know, certain games during the season where we needed to get the running game going. And so my question was, is this an Aaron Jones thing or is this an offensive line thing? And I think the Minnesota Vikings brass, KOC and the boys, have really answered that question, for me at least, in terms of bringing him back. Because if this was an Aaron Jones thing, I don't think that they would bring him back for those numbers. I think they would move on. I think they would let him go to Denver. But the fact that Aaron Jones wanted to stay here, and I think the fact that KOC, Kwesi, these guys think he can be effective. But they've gotta enhance the trenches. And I think that's what the game plan is. I think you're seeing the start of the evolution where the Minnesota Vikings are going to take care of the trenches. Because I think they feel like they've got something in Aaron Jones. Not a bell cow, not an every down type back anymore, but probably is going to split time, probably is going to get the majority of the carries depending on who the new running back is. And you're probably going to see a different Aaron Jones. Think about not last year, but the year before last with the Packers. His last 5 games of that season and how effective he was running the ball in the red zone against the Dallas Cowboys in that playoff game. We really didn't see that Aaron Jones this year in the red zone. And I think a lot of that had to do with our offensive line, more specifically our interior offensive line. And I believe the Minnesota Vikings are committed. They are committed to correcting that deficiency for next season. Therefore, enhancing the production of Aaron Jones. Then bringing him back, looking at the numbers, looking at the 2-year deal is what Aaron Jones wanted. I definitely think a big portion of what you saw in terms of our running game not necessarily being what we thought it could be last year was a sense of, hey, we got to get our offensive line together so we can make our running backs, more specifically Aaron Jones, more productive, because there are times where we just didn't get things done in the running game. This is just the beginning of free agency. We're going to start chipping away at that 75 to 80 mil, depending on what you read and looking at the numbers. You may see some surprise releases from the Minnesota Vikings, depending on who's available to make room for somebody that they really want. It's going to be interesting to see what we do with the offensive line. Is it Fries from Indianapolis? He's coming off that broke leg. How much? What's the price point for him? What do we do on the defensive side of the ball? Looking at not bringing back Murph and Cam Beasley. You really got to look at the secondary. The secondary is really thin. Mekhi Blackman is coming back, so that's a bright spot. That's something to look down the road to see what he can do, but you actually don't know what he's going to be able to do, missing all of last season with that ACL. So there's just a lot of questions for the Minnesota Vikings. And a lot of it is going to start to play out over the next couple of weeks, and it's an exciting time. And I can't wait to see what direction they're going, because a lot of this stuff is going to be answered in the next couple of weeks. All the speculation that all the experts are talking about, you listen to different podcasts and all the content makers out there. It's just going to be interesting to see which direction the Minnesota Vikings go, because you don't know what you don't know. All of it is speculative. And so anything can happen over these next couple of weeks. Again, Aaron Jones, I was surprised at the timing today. Again, I'm not surprised that they were able to get something done with Aaron Jones. I'm not blown away shocked. But just looking at the numbers, looking at it's a 2-year deal. Again, the Minnesota Vikings, by signing Aaron Jones, this speaks loudly to me what they think of Aaron Jones and what direction they need to take with that offensive line. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Please consider becoming a member. Those that become a member will be eligible and entered into a drawing to win a Minnesota Vikings Winter Warriors jersey. Those things are saucy. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Take the time to just hit that little like, and we will make sure to see you when we see you. This is the UP.